Do you want a marketing strategy that's customized for your business? Two Trees PPC can help. With an experienced web design team and a focus on online growth for small to medium-sized businesses, they work to find the quickest possible path to return on investment. With over $5 million in Google Search Ad budget management, they know how to use digital marketing to take your company to the next level. Visit twotreesppc.com. Welcome to MarketPlay, the marketing podcast where we play games instead of just talk, all about this week's marketing and advertising news. I'm your host, Meryl Hathaway, and we're brought to you by Two Trees PPC out of Sacramento, California. Now let's get to quizzing you and our guest on everything industry. Good luck, and welcome to MarketPlay. Hello, good morning. I'm Meryl Hathaway, and today our guest is Omonivie Okhade, owner of Tula in Bloom, where she makes jewelry for women who are discovering the beauty of their authentic selves with the tagline, "Find what makes you bloom." Her pieces are inspired by modern art, nature, movement, and created using traditional metalworking techniques, as well as her skills in repurposing and redesign. She is driven to express individuality, confidence, and independence from convention, with her pieces acting as physical reminders to stay grounded and aware. Joyfully made in Sacramento, California, I'd love to welcome Omonivie to the show. Hello.
Hi, thank you for such a lovely introduction.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you. Like I was just telling you before we started, I am an admirer of your work. There's I think at least 4 pieces that I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. It's so, I like the modern art aspect of where you pull things from. I can see it from like a mile away. It's really beautiful work. And in deep diving on your website a bit, I also was looking just into how you do custom work and the handmade nature of it. So we'll get into all of it, but it's really incredible pieces that you have up. And so congratulations on your business.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love the ooh, ooh part. That's what I want to get from people. I wanted them to see myself like, oh, I want it.
Yes. Well, I mean, it actually, it genuinely, I was like, oh my God, there were at least 2 different rings that I really loved. And then there's a few different necklaces that it's very classy, very elegant jewelry that you can tell there's a lot of heart and thought into each piece. But beyond that, they're just beautiful. They're just really pretty. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yes. Also, considering that today is September 11th, I just do want to acknowledge and pay tribute to everyone whose lives were lost on that tragic day 19 years ago. I know I will never forget, and I just want to put love out into the world for all of the people grieving today.
Thank you for observing that. Yeah, it's. I
Absolutely.
can't believe it's been almost 20 years.
It's goosebumps, right? It's
Right.
one of those things that it genuinely feels like it just happened, and we're still figuring it out. And it didn't. It was a long time ago. So
Mm-hmm.
there's so many things happening right now that I just think acknowledging and putting compassion out for every single person who is handling their own crises today is really important. But also to acknowledge that it was a big day in our history, and it's always going to be a sad day. But I'm excited to have an awesome, interesting, creative conversation with you while we acknowledge that, it is
Exactly.
that day.
And
So,
celebrating life in the meantime. So
yes,
that's all we can do, right?
exactly. Exactly. And your mission is so life affirming and beautiful. So, perfect day to have you.
Thank you.
All right. So, let's go ahead and start playing our first game called Getting to Know You. So I will ask you a series of this or that questions, and you just answer with your first instinct response, okay?
All right. I probably have to close my eyes for this.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. Yeah, don't think.
All right.
Okay, let's play. Tablet or laptop?
Laptop,
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Cats or dogs?
Obviously, dogs, you can hear mine.
That was a perfect timed bark.
Bosley, he's always good with the timing.
Bosley, what a good name. I love it. This is a tough one. Earrings or necklaces?
Oh, God. Oh, okay, I have to go with earrings because when I shaved my head, it was like the most amazing setup for beautiful earrings. So I'll go with
It
earrings.
really was. You looked stunning with a shaved head. I've always wanted to do it. I've never had the balls, but oh my god,
It's so freeing. It's so
feels
freeing.
so good.
Especially when you take a shower or when you like stick your head out the car like a dog.
Oh,
The wind run over it.
I love it. Okay, iPhone or Android?
Android. My sister
Android.
my sister keeps trying to get me on iPhone so we could FaceTime, and I'm like, nah, I love my Android. I love all the stuff, but everything else is Mac. Like I have a MacBook Pro, I have my iPad, but I just hold on to my Samsung Galaxy.
I get it. I get it. I've heard quite a bit about that. I think once you're loyal one way, you're like, oh, the rest of it feels wrong,
It's hard. It's really hard.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle. All right, 9 to 5 or 10 to 6?
10 to 6. Yeah, I like my slow mornings.
I get that. I have like a very good morning ritual now that
Hmm.
I really try to. I mean, I get up crazy early now, not on purpose, but I use it to like make a ritual. So I have my own like slow morning to myself. Love it.
Exactly.
Self-care or self-improvement?
Ooh, self-care, because I think we need to understand that we are already perfect as we are. We're already enough. And in that way, we can, improving is like the byproduct of, taking care of yourself and loving yourself as you are in this moment. And I'm still
Yeah,
working on that.
me too. I was literally gonna say my biggest daily um task or struggle to overcome for myself is positive self-talk.
Mm,
That's the biggest
yeah,
thing for me is focusing on positive self-talk, not punishing, but positive. Um, Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix slash YouTube.
They're both good for different things.
They are. They have their merits and their
Yeah.
demerits.
They're demerits. Oh my god, I
Yes.
haven't heard that since like safety patrol when I was
I
a kid.
know,
The
right?
the crosswalk to let kids cross.
Five
Oh,
demerits.
yeah,
You,
I was
you
so
you
worried
started the
about
crock
demerits.
pot too early.
I haven't thought about that in so long. Okay, and then lastly, metal or wood?
Ugh, you would think I'd say metal, and yes, but also wood. It's so hard because like I love woodworking and I love incorporating that in my jewelry, but
I thought that was so fascinating when I saw
yeah,
that you also do woodworking.
it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And yeah, so but I feel like the metal is kind of the basis for all the things. It's the skeleton, it's the support. So I'll
Yeah,
go with
with
metal.
metal. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love all of that. It was awesome. All right, so let's move on to humble beginnings. So here's what I want to know. I'd love to hear about your very humble beginnings of your very first job ever.
Okay. So my very first job, and actually remembered that I was gonna say my first job was a job as a gymnastics coach after high school.
Oh, really?
In between the summer between high school graduation and the start of college. Because my dad didn't let me have a job while I was in school because I was like supposed to
Oh,
focus on my academics, focus on my studies, blah blah blah.
that's
And
awesome, though. That's
but
pretty great.
yeah, but I also needed to make money because I didn't want to ask him or my mom for all the things. So
Yeah.
I actually before that, during high school, I used to braid people's hair. So I used to be a hair braider, and people would come to my house, like my friends from high school would come to my house, and I would braid their hair, and it would be like I would charge obscenely low to braid a whole head of hair with
Oh
extensions
my
and everything. I think it would
god.
be like $40 and it would take me like 4 or 5 hours.
I was gonna say that's like 3, 4 hours at least. No,
Yeah,
to do a whole
yeah.
head.
Probably longer, but I got pretty good at it. But yeah, I think eventually I increased it to maybe like 80 or 100. But yeah, I undercharged severely. It's funny because I had the same problem, when I started making jewelry, was like undercharging. So
Yeah, it's really hard
yeah.
to ask for money for something that is your own product, but also something that you like doing.
Hmm.
I think so. Like I did makeup for a long time for people,
Oh,
and I ended up working with like photographers and people like that. But at first when it was sort of just friends wanting to go out, but they wanted to do like a smoky eye or something extra fun, like I would
Mhm.
take the time and use all my own products and stuff. And even when they would offer to give me something, I was like, "Oh, I don't," like I just got
Yeah,
really weird about it. It's a very
exactly.
cliche thing, but I got nervous to ask for money.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's tied to so many things, and yeah, it's easy to just kind of play off the time and the work that you put into something, but
Yeah.
that all of that has value. And in understanding that money is just another form of energy, and that the energy you're putting out there, whether you're braiding hair or doing makeup or just putting the time into something, that has its value, and we have to kind of like accept that and know that, and
Yeah.
put a dollar sign on it,
Yeah,
and maybe multiply
totally.
by two.
Let's hope. Let's hope. So then when you did get your very first job where you were like paid by someone else,
Hmm.
what was that? Was it related to the beauty industry?
No, that was the gymnastics coaching. So
Oh, that was the okay,
yeah,
cool.
so I did gymnastics a bit in high school. I was okay at it. I injured myself a lot too, but
Ooh.
I was good enough to teach like 6 and 7 year olds. so so yeah, during the summer we had classes that was in my high school gym, and so I was teaching these little BBs how to do cartwheels and handstands, and it was really fun. I loved it, and I think I got paid
Sounds
like
really fun.
$7 an hour or something, maybe 11.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, how what a fun way to make money though, you know?
Right, right, yeah,
Like
and
getting
hang out.
being able to be physical and all. I was a gymnast when I was a kid, so I imagine like being one of those kids and having the teacher who was like the younger cool teacher. I loved
Mhm,
that. Like that was
mhm.
part of what was fun about it. So then,
Awesome.
okay, so what led to you starting your own business, but also really I'm just so curious what brought you to making your own jewelry pieces?
Well, I had previously been in the healthcare industry. I worked in healthcare management for 6 years. Before that, when I was in college, I was pre med, and I realized at that point that I wasn't, passionate enough about it. And I'm the
Yeah.
type of person whose job needs to be her passion and her, reason for existing. And yeah, and I was like, okay, well, this is not fitting, who I am as a person. And if I'm identifying with what I'm doing, then I'm not feeling good about myself. So yeah, I was living in LA working as a manager for chronic disease management programs and patient education, and high powered, high paid, well, mostly sort of high paid, um, and spending a lot of it on student loan repayments and shoes and my rent and all those things. And
A modern woman. Modern
right,
woman.
living this life that in our we're told that that's what we're supposed to have, and
Yeah.
also that I got the narrative like from watching shows like Friends and watching Chandler, like nobody knows what Chandler does and he hates his job, and that's like that's
But he
how we
always
do.
has money to give to Joey. Always.
Right, always has money to give to Joey. Now I'm the Joey.
Me
Pursuing
too.
my art,
Me
but
too.
I might have to hit my friends up once in a while.
I
uh,
hear you, girl. I hear you so
yeah.
hard.
Yeah. So, so I was working in that field, and in 2010, I got laid off, and I took it as a sign to, as an opportunity to switch. So, I knew I wanted to be in a more creative field. I knew that that was kind of where this underlying, like, desire was. And I ended up getting like a career coach, and we talked about what I would do if I, didn't have to worry about money. And I was like, do this, I'd write, do all these creative things. And so I started taking some classes. And initially, I was getting into children's book writing and illustration. And that ties back to like
Oh,
me working with kids after high school. I just loved,
yeah, and you're a beautiful writer, so I'm not surprised at
Oh, thank
all.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of like, I think that was probably that is and was my first love, besides singing, was writing, and I used to do that a lot as a kid. So yeah, so I got into that. I in this class that I took for writing, I came up with a short story that was a children's story, and Then when I moved back home to Sacramento, in 2011, I decided to turn that into a children's book. So I took this workshop and I was like gung ho. I was going to conferences. I was like, I'm going to do this. And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to get this first book published and that's going to launch my new career. And I'm going to show everybody that I did not make a mistake leaving the
Yeah.
healthcare industry. And yeah, it wasn't a magical, 24-hour overnight success type of thing. So while I was doing that, I needed to, get some part-time work. So I was working part-time. And then what turned me onto the jewelry was completely incidental. My mom, Daimo Okhade, I have to say her name because she's passed on. So I just need to say her name as much as possible.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, she was working for the county. She had been working with the county for decades, and her hobby, which she had been doing for about 6 years at that point, was repurposing vintage and estate sale jewelry and reselling it. And so she would, well, not even repurposing, she was repairing and selling it. And so she was doing that and then also making her own pieces. And so it was kind of her little side business, her side hustle. And she had taken over my little brother's old bedroom. And that was her studio, quote unquote studio,
Yeah.
which was, it was a room of boxes and bags and containers of jewelry and all these pieces, whether they were whole or broken. And when I moved home with my parents, I was like, would go into the room and I was like, and I had this need to organize everything. And I would look at around, I'm like, I need to like help you organize it. It's like such a mess in here and we're going to like clean this up. And it was like her joyful chaos. I look at it now. And at the time I was like, no, it's just messy. So I tried to like, organize it a bit. It was kind of a hopeless cause because there was just so much. And, in this in between time of like not having my book published yet and not having like this path going forward, I was like, well, what can I do in the meantime? And I think I was on unemployment at the time too. So I was trying to figure stuff out and I was still applying for jobs just to, get through. And
Ah,
I was just not getting hired. I was applying everywhere. I was applying still, even within the healthcare industry itself, because I still, that was where all my education was. And I didn't quite have the confidence to like leap into this new thing. So I was looking for jobs in healthcare administration, as well as like trying to look for like maybe paid internships in other areas, like in book publishing or being in transferring my administrative skills into art administration. So looking for jobs in that field as well. But the economy was horrible for art. So I think I did an internship with a gallery in Sacramento. And I think that ended up closing. And then I had applied for a job at another gallery. And then the job fell through because they ended up going bankrupt. It was a mess. So long story long, I started playing around in my mom's jewelry and I was like, oh, well, this little single earring that lost its mate could be a ring. And so I started like pasting things on things. And I was like, well, why don't I start an Etsy? So started an Etsy. And then I started looking at YouTube. So I probably should have said YouTube, definitely, because YouTube was like really like the start of my education in metalwork.
wow,
All
that's
the
fascinating.
the videos like that I saw like taught me like how to cut metal with the saw frame and just all these kind of basic skills to kind of get me started in metalworking. So I took the material that I got from my mom, and then I added this kind of metalworking element to it. And that's really what got Tula and Bloom started. And the name Tula and Bloom actually comes from my children's book, which was about,
Oh,
yeah, it's called my children's book, which I may publish one day. I will do it. I will do it. It's going to happen.
yeah.
It's called Kaya in Bloom, and it's about a caterpillar who hadn't turned into a butterfly yet, and all her friends had, and she was just like feeling like a weirdo. And she's afraid that
I
she
lo-
wasn't a caterpillar or a butterfly after all, that she was actually a worm because she had a bully who called her worm.
oh my
Anyway, it's
gosh,
like this
we're
whole thing.
all Kaya. We are all
I
Kaya.
know. I was basically writing about myself. I'm
The world needs it. The world needs that book, girl.
Yeah. So yeah, the story is called Kaya and Bloom. And Tula is my middle name. So that's kind of how Tula and Bloom came about, because it was this idea of, finding myself and finding what made me, come alive and come happy and become happy, and what drove me and what made me value myself. So yeah, that's where that name came from.
Oh, what a good story. And your mom was a huge influence in that.
Huge influence, huge influence.
Huge.
Yeah. I mean, watching her work, I mean, she had this wonderful work ethic, and she showed me how you can get into this meditative state when you work. I mean, I found that initially, I noticed that initially when I was doing the illustration for the book and I was learning how to paint with watercolor, and I was just so focused, and hours would go by and I wouldn't even notice. But she was also kind of an example of that, because she'd be in that room for hours, and that was kind of her happy place. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So beautiful. Um, so your middle name is Tula. What does
Mhm.
Tula have a translation like your first name does?
No, because Tula's not Nigerian. So Omonivie and Okhade are Ishan words, which is a tribe in, I want to say, kind of central eastern Nigeria. And Tula is from my mom's side, who's American, and it was my great grandmother on my mom's side, and my first name is my great grandmother on my dad's side.
And your
Um,
first name, it literally translates to "Our child is worth more than coral," correct?
you are doing your research, yes.
I mean, what a cool translation. Meryl means blackbird, apparently, like
Ooh,
the translation of my first name. And
okay.
blackbird has like a whole descriptor, if you read that, a lot of like expressiveness, things like that. But for it literally to be like, our child is worth more than coral, I thought was fascinating because
It's very
it's just
boastful.
like, yeah, like this is my daughter, okay, and she's gonna nail it. So like, back off because she's worth more than your coral. Like, I thought that was amazing. So, how has your Nigerian roots like influenced in your jewelry making, or is it mostly from everything from your mom, or I mean, because you fuse a lot of your
Mhm.
culture within all of your work.
Yeah, I think if it does, it's almost subconsciously, because I only found out as an adult that the people from my dad's tribe, they're kind of known as artisans and brass workers, and work a lot with brass, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that until like a few years ago, I want to say. So it was like
Wow, I
really
figured you
like.
were using brass because of that, but you were already using brass and then found out it's literally in your heritage.
Yeah, yeah, I guess it's in the blood. It's
Whoa.
weird, and mind you, I didn't hear this from my dad. Like he didn't tell me that. He was like, "No, doctor or lawyer. Those are the two choices."
I mean, that would be like me eating bagels for years and then finding out I'm Jewish and being like, "Oh,
Right?
well, I guess that's why I love bagels so
I
much."
guess that makes sense. There you go. The puzzle pieces fit.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, okay, so what made you go from, because you don't only sell on Etsy now. You do custom pieces, you do a lot of like direct outreach for pieces, is that right? Where customers
Yeah.
can ask you for specific things?
Right. Yeah. I felt like I didn't compete well on Etsy because it was like this entire marketplace. So I wanted a centralized place where people can come and see all of my work, and they could just go directly. They didn't have to I didn't have to like do all the things to increase my visibility on Etsy. And yeah, I wasn't really good at it, which is what I'm basically saying.
Own beast. It's its own beast,
It
and
is.
getting
It is.
eyes on work when you're then instantly, because I think Etsy's wonderful, but it
Mhm.
is funny when you say that let's say I were to look up your jewelry and then instantly it's like more pieces or more jewelry like this, but then it
Right.
takes me to somebody else like
Hmm.
instantly.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're on your site and you click on shop
Mhm.
or lookbook, and then you can like really actually focus only on the aesthetic of the work that you create on your site. I think it's smart to do it that way.
Exactly. And I also I've heard this from a lot of sources that and I experienced this myself. Like when you buy something, You're not on Etsy. You're not necessarily saying, "I bought this from." I'm going to throw my friend's jewelry line out there, Simone's Boutique, and she's on Etsy. You might just say, I got this on Etsy, like as if it's its own brand, rather
Yeah.
than the maker that is using Etsy as a platform.
Right.
So I got my dog's leash and collar from a maker on Etsy. And I will have to struggle to remember the name, even though it was a great collar, because it's like, I got it on Etsy, So I really wanted to not have that happen to my work and have people say, I got it on Tula and Boom and I got it from her website,
Yeah, I
or
think
I
that's
got it
really
from her at a show. Yeah.
and then people have a more personal connection because you
Hmm.
are all over your page. So people then
Right.
affiliate that jewelry piece with you, which is what's
Hmm.
important and unique about it.
Right.
So then
Right.
how do you get eyes onto your website or onto your jewelry? What kind of marketing or advertising do you do? Is it all social media? Do you put stuff out?
Hmm.
What kind of stuff do you do to engage in that?
Well, it's mainly social media. I also have a newsletter list, so I try to send emails out. Also, not really good at that, but I'm working on it. I'm better than I used to be. I'm going to give myself some credit. I'm better than I used to be.
Yeah, positive talk, positive talk.
Exactly. I'm still working with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So a lot of it is that it's also word of mouth. And
Definitely.
pre-COVID, I was going to in-person events and getting my work out there. So that's kind of how I would get customers beyond Sacramento,
Okay.
going to these other shows.
Very cool. So, speaking of shows, let's talk about SAC Open Studios. Tell me about what is going on there because I saw that you are really like prepping for this event.
Mhm.
So, tell us what that is.
So SAC Open Studios is a regional event that has, I think this is its 15th year, and it's put on by Verge Center of the Arts, and it's essentially a massive simultaneous opening of the doors of artists' individual studios. So wherever they work, whether they're at a home, they're at a gallery, they're in some warehouse, those who sign up open their studios. People can come in and look at their work and look at how they work, rather than just seeing their work maybe on display at an event or at a gallery. So you can kind of see, like, go behind the scenes and see the guts of the of the
That's
operation. Yeah.
sounds so fun. I would love to do
Yeah.
that. I think that's so interesting. So,
Mhm.
so does that mean that your studio, by being a participant, that people are going to come and just like kind of show up while you're working?
Yeah, that's how it was. Well, sort of. I would set up, and if I'm working, then it's maybe a demo. But I do want to talk and engage with people, so I get to have
Okay.
these conversations about work and about their experiences. So it's really a great opportunity to get direct contact with people on a prolonged basis, because it's all day long, Saturday and Sunday, and that's how it was pre-COVID. So now in this age of shelter at home, shelter in place, um, we can't do that. So we're going virtual, which is kind of this, new and somewhat daunting experience for everybody.
Yeah.
So Verge is, they're doing their best to make it a rich experience. So they've offered an opportunity to, there's like interviews, like called Conversations with Artists. So that's happening tonight. September 11th tonight at 7:15. I will be on to talk about wearable art. It actually starts a bit earlier. There's a series of artists or in our group talking about wearable art, but I go on at 7:15. And
Okay.
but you can start as early as 6 for wearable art, and I think it starts at 5 with maybe mixed media. But so there's a series of conversations with artists. And then over the weekend, instead of having people come to your studio, we're going to live stream. So tomorrow and Sunday from 1 to 4, I will be on Instagram. And I'm going to just commit to Instagram
Okay.
versus Facebook Live. So hopefully everybody will join me on Instagram Live, because it'll just be easier for me just to pick one. Um,
Yeah.
and so I'll stream on live on Instagram every hour on the hour for about 40 to 45 minutes. And I'll do maybe a demo, chat, maybe just kind of work, and people can see me work. And then I'm also offering kind kind of a little promotion. So those who purchase on the website through midnight tonight um, will get like a little raffle entry, and so they have a chance to win a set of earrings that
Ooh.
I will be making in silver. They'll be
Giveaway.
silver. They'll be really pretty. They're actually going to be the silver version of a pair of earrings that I call Labyrinth. And so, yeah, they have a chance to win that. And so I'll announce that probably either Saturday or Sunday, do the little raffle thing.
Well,
And
that's exciting,
yeah,
and
it'll
that's
make it
something
fun,
really,
something to do.
really, really cool community to be a part of.
Yeah, yeah, and I hope people give it a try. It's definitely something that is, especially in the age of like we're doing a lot of Zoom meetings, so I know it's hard to sit online for yet another thing. And also, it's not the same as it was last year when you get to go to these studios in person. But
Yeah.
we're gonna do our best to connect with folks, and
Listen, everybody can have
yeah.
a glass of wine before they log on, you know?
Exactly, and they don't have to get
Spice
dressed
it
up, they
up.
don't have to drive down, they could just
Events
log
in
in and
sweatpants, people. I don't ever wanna go back. Events in sweatpants. That's it. I'm showing up everywhere wearing either a onesie or sweatpants, and you're gonna
Oh my
love me
god,
for it because it's who I am.
you said the magical word, get that onesie on.
Adult onesies are the best invention ever.
I live for the jumpers and the onesies.
I mean, they're just and with pockets, everything is better.
Pockets, yes.
Pockets.
You wanna see a girl's face light up, compliment her on her dress, and wait till she
Yes,
tells you that they have
that they
pockets.
have pockets, and then everybody just, like, cheers.
Yay, pockets!
Worldwide, we can all celebrate female pockets.
Exactly, exactly.
Do you want a marketing strategy that's customized for your business? Two Trees PPC can help. With an experienced web design team and a focus on online growth for small to medium-sized businesses, they work to find the quickest possible path to return on investment. With over $5 million in Google Search Ad budget management, they know how to use digital marketing to take your company to the next level. Visit twotreesppc.com. You put out so much beautiful honesty in your social media and your blog. You're very real about like how you're actually feeling, about talking about things that are really difficult to talk about for a lot of people. And it's almost like you have a very like activism way of approaching your life and business where you like put it all together with such heart. So what I would love to know is like, what are you most grateful for in the life you've now created for yourself with Tula in Bloom?
That is a really good question. I'm grateful for so much, so it's kind of like hard to
How
pick.
wonderful is that? It's hard to pick which one you're excited about the most.
Yeah, I'm grateful for I guess the opportunity to create the life that I want and to know and the knowledge that I can.
Yeah.
Not that it's perfect in all areas, but the opportunity to know that I am an agent of my own change and my own destiny. I don't think I would have had that realization had I stayed where I was, because it felt like, I did things because I had to. And I still struggle with that now, but not on that level. Definitely not on that level. So just the opportunity to design my life essentially. And going back to what I said about, being the type of person whose job needed to be her passion and her, reason for being. And I think it's
Yeah.
raison d'entrée or something. I can't remember
Yeah.
in French. I didn't take French in high
Raison
school.
d'être. Yeah.
Yes. See, good job. Yes, yes,
Raison
yes.
d'être. I'm great with accents.
Yes, and it's ironic because everybody thinks my name is French, and I'm like, nope.
I could see that. It because
Hmm.
and a lot of there's a lot of French speaking in a lot of African nations, right, that have
Yeah,
similar pronunciations.
yeah. There are a lot of French speaking African nations, but Nigeria is actually a former British
Right.
colony. So I think it's funny when people say that. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna, gently
It's
inform
just
them
about
that no.
educating, right?
Yes, yes.
Gentle education is the best
Gentle
way of saying it.
education.
Like,
Yes.
"Oh, honey, let me share. Let me
Yes,
just share a
let's
little
have a
bit."
history lesson. But I do love when people think it's Italian too, because that's always like a left field guess. That's fun too.
How would
And
they
then
pronounce it?
I don't know.
Omonivie.
I don't know. I have no idea. And it's funny because also my last name sounds Japanese. So it's like, let me be international lady. I'm just all over the place. Or everything came from us. And therefore you get all these, cultures sounding like us. And we are like,
Yep.
the origin. So you could look at it that
Yep.
way too. But
True
yeah.
history. True
Mhm.
history.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really grateful for the opportunity and to see it um in living color, really, and to wake up every day and to know, like, this is the life that I chose for myself, and I can choose, the
Yeah.
next step, and I could choose the next movement, and I can direct my day as I wish. So.
Yeah. So speaking of which, considering the times that we're in, what are some of the things that you would suggest to people to do to be involved in making positive change right now? I mean, obviously, there's all of the racial inequality and
Mhm,
pushing for justice, in addition to all of the global warming conversation and climate and all of that stuff. But what are some of the things that you're most passionate about that maybe people can be a part of that community and help to
mhm,
create that change? And is there anything in particular for you that you'd want to speak about?
mhm. Well, I am a personal advocate for meditation and looking inward. And that was one of the things that I sought refuge in when I was in the midst of like this kind of mental distress
Yeah.
with the career that I was in. And so I've been meditating regularly since 2009. And about a couple years ago, we started am a, I sit with the Sangha, which is a Pali word for community within the Buddhist tradition.
Sangha.
Yes. So I have a main Sangha, large Sangha called, and they call it Maha Sangha. It's Sacramento Buddhist Meditation Group. And then within that Sangha, we've created a Sangha for people of color. And so I took that over maybe a couple years ago. So I facilitated along with my co-facilitator, Monique Calhoun, and we offer weekly online sits for those who identify as a person of color, Black, Indigenous, POC. And so, I'm passionate about it because I'm passionate about us looking inward to our own uh, needs, desires, sufferings, and looking at it with a lens of, compassion and objectivity and understanding who we are before we go out into the world and act. Because I think a lot of people act without looking at their own thoughts, without looking how their actions impact others. And I felt this on myself too, and that's why I meditate, and that's why I work on myself. Um, and I think all of these things are related, and all of the strife in the world is related. I think, races really hate themselves. But at the same time, they cause a lot of destruction. So, they need to stop. And we need to,
Oh yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah. I
we need to
mean,
continue to actively work against oppression and systematic racism and structural racism. And so we have to do those things despite the overwhelming odds and how huge the problem is. And I think when we look at all these things, we look at global warming, we look at racism, we look at, um, you know, uh, basically like all of these things happening around the world. I'm thinking about the Rohingya tribe in Myanmar and how they were basically kind of systematically executed by the army forces. And I'm like listening to the news about that. And it's just like, you can't put your arms around it, you know? And to think about it all, it's so heavy. And I think that's really what I'm hearing and feeling from a lot of people. And I'm feeling it myself. It's just the heaviness,
yeah.
and it's really
Yeah.
hard to do anything. And so I applaud those who are out there, you know, um, taking action and doing the best that they can and using their talents for the causes that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
Um, I and in looking inward, we can know where our talents are best applied. And I know that for me, like, my passion is putting beauty out in the world. It's helping us all like love ourselves more. And it is, you know, knowing that we all have something to offer that will help each other and that we're all interconnected. And I don't necessarily think that it'll be solved by jewelry, but but I do know that it has a place. I got an email yesterday from a client that literally like made me cry, like
What did it
spontaneously in
say?
the car. Um, I won't share her name, but she recently got a ring from me, and I have a collection called Delta Collection, and it's about change and how we deal with it and how we can deal with it. And each piece has a message about how we can work with change and what we can do. And so she bought a particular ring, and she emailed me, and she when I sent it to her, she really enjoyed it, and I hadn't heard anything after that. Like, they go out into the world and they're enjoyed by the wearer, and I'm happy. And usually if I get an email back, like it's maybe a repair is needed, or
Yeah.
maybe, they are have a question about sizing or whatever. So I thought it was just some, email about, hey, like, I need help with this. And it was an email saying, she had been going through a really hard time the last few weeks, and she wears the ring to remind her that she has courage and resilience and beauty, and that has helped her. And I like literally just I was like,
Look
oh.
what you did. Look what you did for someone.
Yeah, yeah. So that
Mission
just meant
accomplished.
and it's
I
like,
mean,
yeah, that and it's not the jewelry itself, it's the vehicle of sending that
yeah.
message and reminding people of their own strength and resilience and
Yeah.
self-love and courage. And so yeah, that's I need to hear those things, because I get that way too.
Yeah,
So
everybody does. You're a human
mhm,
being. And
mhm,
if we all boiled ourselves down within meditation and self reflection, we are all so much more alike than we are different.
mhm,
And we all want similar things, which is comfort and safety and happiness within our people and our families and those around us. And by using what you are good at and passionate about, you are genuinely bringing that that thought process and that awareness and just general like love through your work to people. It really
mhm.
is. It is. I love what you said that like we all have something to contribute. Hi, Bosley, and that's where Bosley comes in to give his love
Give us
as
2 cents.
well. He's just chiming in. But it's true that we can all offer something, and it doesn't
Mhm,
have to be the same thing, and not one thing is better than the other. It's just in our own way if we can give more people compassion and space.
mhm.
But it all starts with ourselves. And you and
Right,
I were chatting
right.
at the top about that it really is, it's looking inward. And
Mhm,
I work every day to try to treat myself with more kindness because I find that I'm actually more kind to people, to others than I am to myself. But
mhm.
that how much better would I be for others if I was kind to myself? And it really does start within the world of like mindfulness and meditation. And what an awesome thing to have as like
Mhm.
a side community that you've created. I applaud you that you've been also doing it for since 2009. I If I go 4 days meditating straight, that's like a streak for me. I'll
It's a
take a
good
couple days
streak.
off and forget or like have a million things and then be like, "Why do I feel wonky and depressed? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I need to sit down and be
exactly,
mindful. 10 minutes a day,
exactly.
5 minutes to start." Like that's all it
Mhm.
takes. So, what
Yeah,
an
yeah.
awesome thing that yeah, I would suggest to anybody to do. So, all right, amazing. Lastly, I just want to ask you, what is it that makes you bloom?
Making stuff, working with my hands, thinking of things to make.
Your face was like lit up. You had a moment of pause and then you were like making stuff and you're like your
Ew.
smile went giant. It was amazing.
I love it. I mean, I do all the things, and that makes me like slightly crazed, but it's a joyful craze. Like I got into sewing a few years ago, and I like to alter like thrift store finds that I
Yes.
get and just make them a little bit, more me. And
That is such
uh,
a skill, by the way. Like, what a cool skill, right? Because I hem stuff when I have
mhm,
to, or I'll
yeah,
take stuff in or change like straps and things like that. And I've been
hmm
able to salvage like the cutest things that I'll find out in the world that don't quite fit me, and then I can
hmm
salvage them, and then I love the piece that much more because it's mine. You know?
exactly, exactly. And it's definitely a skill to respect, because I went into it thinking, oh, I'm gonna just, at this dart, and it's like, no, you just messed up the whole operation. So
So much
it's a
harder than that.
science. It is so much harder. Yeah.
It is. I give Project Runway contestants like all the praise because holy hell, I don't know how they do it and so fast. And somehow these girls walk down this
I
with
could
something
never,
on,
I could never be on that show. I'd still be like working on one leg of a pants by the time
right?
we were
And I'd be like, it's just
ready to
not
go.
perfect. I got to start it over again.
Just throw this pile of clothes on and walk down the runway. I'll just pin it a couple places. Like, what are those hems? Yes, those are rough hems. Sorry.
All right. So I just wanted to finish with one last game, which
Mhm.
is called Branded. And in this game, I'm just going to ask you a couple multiple choice questions. And I made it just 3 questions about small business to throw some fun numbers and analytics stuff into the episode, because why not?
Okay.
Um, so, number one, how many small businesses are there in the US in 2020? All right. A, 12 million, B, 32 million, or C, 2 million?
Oh, I have to think about like how many are on the books. So,
That's
because there's like
probably very different.
millions and millions of businesses that are, like community under the table kind of stuff. So
Right, right. This is like on the books. 12 million, 32, or 2.
I'm going to say 12.
It is actually B, 32, which
You
makes
know
me
what? I
very
was going to
happy.
say 32.
I
Dang.
could tell. I could actually tell you were gonna say 32. So what's interesting, and I didn't know this, but small businesses make up 99.9% of US businesses. 99.9% are considered small businesses. How
Mm,
crazy is that?
that is amazing. And I
Right?
and I would probably want to know like further, like how much of that makes up the US economy, because we always hear about the big businesses that are making so much money.
I'm
How much
about
do
to
they
get
actually contribute?
I
Okay.
have a little bit of that in this next question.
All right.
At 40% of all US businesses, how much do female owned businesses generate a year as of 2020? So 40% of all US businesses are female owned and operated. How
Mhm.
much do those generate a year as of 2020? Is it A, 600 billion, B, Bosley,
I know.
B, 120 billion, or C, 1.8 trillion?
I'm going to say
Not a
1.8 trillion.
You're right. You're right.
Woo!
So
Hey.
12.3 million businesses are female owned, and 4% of total revenue are from female owned. 4%. That's the
Only four.
crazy part. With
Wow.
9 million Americans, though, or 8% of the population employed by women owned businesses. So it's a
Wow.
ton, but the percentage is still really small.
It sounds like we're playing small.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
thing is it's growing, which is
Hmm.
wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
it has to grow. Um, but what I think is amazing is that there are so many women like yourself who know that the male run businesses and the bigger business and all of that can do whatever they want. And you guys still started your own business, have thrived within your business, and are climbing.
Hmm.
Like, hello, women. I just want to
Yeah.
say, nothing can hold it back. It's like we're gonna take over. But
It
props
says,
to you and those
thank
like you.
you. Yeah, it says a lot about tenacity, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That
I
you
mean,
are looking in the face of a harder situation and being like, "That's okay. That's what I want,
yeah.
so I'm gonna do it."
Yeah. I mean, in as I said earlier, we can look at it as playing small, or we can look at it as, being tenacious and working with what we got, and hopefully, learning so that we can grow and become larger and, take a bigger
Exactly.
piece of the pie. So
Yeah. So, last question. Women of color account for nearly what percentage of the new women-owned businesses annually? So, all the businesses that start off every year, what percentage is it women of color starting those businesses? Is it A, 46%, B, 90%, or C, 18%?
Oh, I should just know this off the bat. You're going to make me do a bunch of market research now. Um, I'm going to go with A, 46.
Thankfully, it's B, 90%.
What?
Blew me away.
Yay.
There are a total of approximately 13 million women-owned businesses in the US, which is roughly 42% of all the first opening across the country, and they're all rising. And 90% every year of those new businesses are run by women of color.
Hey, hey.
I
Hashtag we
mean,
coming up.
hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, sisters. Hi,
I
sisters.
mean, all
Yes,
about it.
love
So
it.
I mean, pretty crazy, and it's so exciting to talk to someone like you who is thriving in such a positive, focused business. First of all, secondly, putting really beautiful, handmade, like quality work out there. And I say this every week, but I just encourage any and everyone to buy local, buy
Mhm.
small. Um, there's about 400 million people who will have the necklace that you got at Target.
Mhm.
Do you want to be one of 400 million people wearing the same damn thing? Or do you want something different, interesting, unique that supports a small local business? To
And speaks
me,
to you.
and speaks to you and what you represent and what you
Mhm.
want to encourage others to be open, empathetic, giving, thoughtful, mindful, all those things. So I just want to thank you again for being here and for coming on the show and for doing what you do and putting what you do out into the world because it's so needed and I know I'm grateful for it being there.
And I'm grateful for you being here and allowing me to talk about my work. I really appreciate it. I also appreciate those who have been, like you said, supporting local this year and supporting Tula and Bloom specifically. I really appreciate, and I hope that what they purchase and what they get like brings them joy,
Yeah.
and I hope I get to continue to do what I do and connect with people like yourself. Thank you, Meryl.
Yay. So Omonivie, how can people find you, follow you, reach out, and purchase from you?
They can find my online store at tulaandbloom.com. And I'm on all the social medias. Well, not all the social medias. I'm not on TikTok.
Enough of them. Enough of them.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, though I don't really engage
Yeah.
too much with Twitter. At Tula and Bloom. You can find me at Tula and Bloom on Instagram and then facebook.com/Tula and Bloom. You can also sign up on my mailing list on my website and hear from me directly. And yeah.
And then tonight they can find you. What's the website again to go to for tonight?
So go to sacopenstudios.com and you'll see the agenda of what's going on today. And you can scroll down and find me under Conversations with Artists, Wearable Artists. You can also find my artist profile on sacopenstudios.com.
Woohoo! Well, I can't thank you enough for being here and good luck with everything tonight and this whole weekend. I hope it all works out and is a good time. I hope Bosley has a good time.
Yes, me too, because he's going to be interrupting a lot more in Zoom calls and
I was
online
happy to
things.
have him as well.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to decide which of your pieces I'm going to purchase and wear proudly, but it'll be one of them. I just have to nail down which one it's going to be.
And if you need custom, just reach out, send me an email.
Ooh, I might have to. Thank you
Sounds good.
so much, Omonivie. I loved having you.
Thank you, Meryl. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful weekend, okay?
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to MarketPlay this week. I'm your host, Meryl Hathaway. We're brought to you by Two Trees PPC out of Sacramento, California. Always fighting for the small business. If you liked our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your colleagues. Have a safe week out there, and we'll see you next time.